Euromaxx highlights in today's show. Royal approval. Why fashion label Reiss suddenly became so popular. Modern metropolis. Why the Polish capital Warsaw is enjoying a renaissance. London Pavilion. Why Swiss architect Peter Zumthor was happy to work for free. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello and welcome to the show. We start today with a trip to the south of Germany, to the small town of Murnau on the edge of the Bavarian Alps. The dramatic landscapes there have always made it a very attractive spot for artists. Members of the famous artistic collective De Blauer Reiter, or the Blue Rider, settled there in the early 20th century. So let's take a look at why, in the eyes of a painter, it's such a special place.
The foothills of the Bavarian Alps give way to lakes, forests and wide-open moorland. In 1908, a number of artists decided to settle here, creating large-format landscape paintings with intense colours. The group became known as the Blue Rider and rose to international fame. Franz Marc was perhaps foremost among them. He became famous for his animal motifs, in particular his horses. He believed nature had a spiritual side to it. In the village of Schledorf, some 70 kilometers south of Munich, the Franz Marc Museum shows works by the artist and his associates. Also on display, a luxury edition of the Blue Rider yearbook, published in 1912 by Franz Marc and Russian artist Wassily Kandinsky. Together, they gathered around them a community of expressionist painters.
All these artists, Marc, Kandinsky, Klee, Jabloński, Macke, were of the opinion that art should no longer depict things as they appear outwardly. Instead, they wanted to capture the essence of the motif, be it meadows or landscapes, what they considered to be the truth, the inner core.
The museum stands on the shores of Lake Kochel. Visitors can walk around the lake and compare the landscape with the works of the artists, or just relax and enjoy the scenery.
I've come from Holland to go canoeing and to enjoy the mountains and the peace and quiet.
It's a great place to swim. You can do everything, boating, climbing, walking, and it's all free basically, which is very important for a student.
The nearby town of Murnau dates back to the 12th century. With its gabled rooftops and alpine scenery, Murnau became a magnet for the new generation of painters who became part of the Blue Rider group. Gabriele Münter from Berlin lived here together with her Russian partner Wassily Kandinsky. She bought a villa, which locals dubbed the Russian's house. Gabriele Münter painted many portraits of Kandinsky. She also painted pictures of their interiors. Today, the house has been turned into a museum, and the rooms were reconstructed based on her paintings. The couple lived here from 1909 to 1914.
From then on, Kandinsky and Münter spent nearly every summer here. And as Kandinsky studied the countryside around Murnau, he started to move more into abstract painting.
Today, Murnau is building on its artistic past. In the Gallery and Cantina, visitors can enjoy a meal and then take a look at the modern art in the gallery. Many of the contemporary artists here also get their inspiration from the scenery. The picturesque town of Murnau and its surrounding lakes are still a magnet for tourists who come to enjoy that unique link between nature and art.
We continue with a fashion label that was catapulted to international success more or less overnight. Kate Middleton, as she was then, caused a major stir when she wore a Reiss dress at the announcement of her engagement to Prince William. What happened next is already a fashion industry legend and proof of the influence of those in the public eye.
The latest collection from UK-based fashion brand Reiss is characteristically pared back and chic, teaming trademark good tailoring with understated elegance. It's just the sort of thing the Duchess of Cambridge likes best, and her soft spot for Reiss is no secret. Kate Middleton wore a Reiss dress for her official engagement portraits, and another for her first official appointment after her marriage to Prince William, when the couple welcomed the Obamas to Buckingham Palace. Demand for the camel-colored shift dress soared. It certainly made this man's day. He's the company's head.
I got a knock on the door from somebody saying, one of the heads of Grazia magazine was on the phone, just to let you know that Kate's been seen wearing the Reiss dress for Obama. And I thought, that's great, and I thought nothing more of it. And then, of course, it just went absolutely, ballistic after that.
It happened really very, very quickly. It was tweeted about 11 o'clock in the morning. It then went on a blog, on a magazine blog, pretty much after that first tweet, and then sort of virally exploded across the globe. And our website crashed about 2:30.
In a short space of time, the number of visitors to the site rose to 6.5 million. For a while there, every minute someone somewhere was buying what had become known as the Kate dress.
What's so amazing about it is, and very sort of our time, it happened so quickly. It really, from her walking out and the images being released, it's a matter of hours. That hasn't happened on a global scale. I can't think of anything really that's caused such fury for a dress.
The Reiss flagship store is just around the corner from Oxford Street. What fashion-savvy shoppers love about the brand is that it's sophisticated but affordable, with the dress costing about €200. Everything about the shop says exclusive, not high street. Kate Middleton was a regular customer, and now that she's Duchess of Cambridge, she's still a fan. Observers say that part of her appeal is her knack for making an inexpensive outfit look like luxury.
The fact that the Duchess of Cambridge chose Reiss was very clever, because there's a lot of similarities there, because Reiss is not quite high street, it's not designer, it's accessible and it's affordable, and at the same time, Kate's sense of style, it's quite pared down, it's quite clean, and it's that kind of middle ground, it's safer. She looks very tailored.
David Reiss knows what he's doing, and has succeeded in steadily building up the brand and going global over the last few decades. Today, Reiss is a multinational fashion retailer with over 90 stores everywhere from Moscow to Dubai. Just like in haute couture fashion houses, the clothes are designed by a team of in-house designers.
Everything starts with the fabric, to have that much more luxury in the fabric, in the cut, have the perfect cut garment. With the women's dress, like the Kate dress, she looked $1 million. She looked $1 million, and she didn't pay $1 million for the dress. And that's what Reiss is all about, to make you feel very good in yourself, beautiful, clean, sharp clothes.
This year marks the 40th anniversary of the Reiss label, and thanks to the Duchess of Cambridge, it's never been more in demand. The company just better make sure its website doesn't crash again.
She's so stunning. I can understand why Reiss has now become so popular. Our next stop today is in Poland. That will take over the rotating presidency of the European Union on the 1st of July. The capital, Warsaw, is a city filled with culture and style, from the history of Chopin to the late-night bars. So let's take a look at what this metropolis has to offer.
Castle Square in Warsaw's old city centre is one of the most beautiful in Europe and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's hard to believe that 60 years ago everything here was in ruins. Like everyone in Poland, Bartłomiej Wawrzyk, known as Bartek, knows everything here was rebuilt after the Second World War.
I think it's rebuilt in very good style, because it looks quite old, but it's very new. I think my parents are older than old city in Warsaw.
Bartek has lived in Warsaw for 14 years. He's a pianist and formed the group Quadrophonic with 3 other musicians. A quartet with 2 pianists and 2 percussionists. They are enjoying worldwide success. They've just returned from Japan and soon they're off to China. Musically, Warsaw is linked above all with one person, Frédéric Chopin. The new Chopin Museum opened in March 2010 in what was once a royal palace to mark the 200th birthday of the composer and piano virtuoso.
We are really connected with Chopin's music because we know this music from our childhood, and it's difficult to cut this connection because this music is our language, our second language.
The museum attracted 200,000 visitors within a year, making it one of Poland's most popular. The new exhibition concept is what brought it such great success.
We are not going to have guided tours, and the museum is now really customized. I mean, it's made in a way that every visitor can shoot, or must almost, browse the museum on his own and experience it on his own.
Warsaw is a green city with parks covering a quarter of its area. Near the center there's Łazienki Park, in which the famous Chopin monument stands. At 76 hectares, it's the city's largest park, and it's considered one of Europe's most beautiful.
I can imagine Warsaw as a young and trendy and fancy girl, sometimes, yes.
The Palace of Culture and Science, built in the 1950s, is still the tallest building in Warsaw. But the city has transformed itself in the past 20 years into a metropolis that, in addition to futuristic architecture, offers plenty of room for other activities, all sorts of cuisine, and a lively culture scene. Like many other cities, Warsaw has its city beaches with bars. Bartek shows us his favorite. Here in the wine bar Bardot, there's a panoramic view of the Vistula River and a glimpse of the future, the new stadium built for the 2012 UEFA European Football Championships.
In the last few years, the demand for folding bikes has increased as commuters, often dressed in suits, combine them with buses and trains to get to work. There's a wide range of models to choose from, and with so many variations in size, weight and durability, we sought advice from some specialists on this personal transport solution.
They're quick, robust and manoeuvrable. Bicycles have many advantages when moving in heavy urban traffic. The upmarket ones can even be status symbols. More and more city dwellers are choosing them over cars. The time is ripe for a revival of the folding bicycle, now in a state-of-the-art form. One of Berlin's largest bicycle shops even has a separate department for folding bikes. All the most popular makes and models are on display here on 16,000 square metres of floor space. Folding mountain bikes and electric bikes, and the classic from Britain, the Brompton. This exclusive set of wheels has been made in London for 25 years now. And the model has never changed. Some 30,000 roll off the assembly line here every year, of which about 1 in 10 are exported to Germany. And demand is increasing.
I think it gives you freedom. It is not about recreation, it's about a lifestyle choice. What is special about the Brompton is that we have designed into a bike that folds real efficiency in the ride.
Engineers have been honing and perfecting the folding bike for years, making them smaller, more ergonomic and, of course, more fashionable. In another Berlin bicycle shop, sales clerk Christoph Beck takes time for each of his customers.
I tell them to bring at least 2 hours' time to test ride everything we've got. My testing route goes over cobblestones and that sort of thing. Every model can be custom tailored, so everyone has their own individual bike. My best bargain costs €393 and has everything, including a stable frame. Maybe a bit heavy, but it's reasonably priced. Or you can pay up to €20,000.
Hungarian actor Daniel Berg and Austrian political scientist Isel Nerges are not prepared to spend that much. They're looking to test ride one of the cheaper models on the streets of Berlin. According to the German Cyclists Federation, the newfound popularity of pedal power is not limited to folding bikes, but to cycling in general.
The bicycle is turning into a status symbol, especially when you look around the streets of Berlin. You see more and more young people out and about on bikes, and they're not just bikes, they're part of a lifestyle. They're designer objects.
But what's a folding bike like?
In comparison to other bikes, I think the size is fairly practical. You can take it everywhere you go, but in terms of value for money, they're a bit too pricey for me.
Yeah, so it's great. It's very light, you know, and kind of smaller too. So it's very practical. You can fold it, put it on the bus and everything. And I think because the frame is lighter, it seems like you're going faster even in the first gear. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to ride.
More and more bike riders are discovering the fun and enhanced mobility of folding bikes.
On July the 1st, this summer's installation at the Serpentine Gallery in London had its grand opening. For the last 10 years, in the heart of Kensington Gardens, a different architect has the honour of creating their own pavilion for the summer season. This year is the turn of Swiss architect Peter Zumthor. So, let's see what he's come up with.
As with every year, a new pavilion stands in front of the Serpentine Gallery in London's Kensington Gardens. The only way in is through a long, dark passage. Star architect Peter Zumthor of Switzerland designed the structure.
From the outside, you don't know what to expect. This is a little orientation zone where your eyes adjust to the dark in preparation for the colors of the garden.
As dictated by the rules of the Serpentine Gallery, the pavilion is Peter Zumthor's first building in Britain. The design's core concept is a garden within a garden, a hortus conclusus laid out by Piet Oudolf of the Netherlands.
The garden is part of the architecture, not of the agriculture. In other words, it's up to the architects to deal with it. And so, instead of taking a detached view of gardens and landscapes, I started feeling my way into them and making the architecture part of the garden. Here, the architecture even forms a kind of frame with the garden in the center.
Peter Zumthor achieved fame with designs like the thermal baths of Vals, Switzerland. He's a master in using spaces to create atmosphere. He designed the Swiss Pavilion for the Expo 2000, a structure reduced to the bare essentials. A chapel in Germany's picturesque Eifel region also bears his hallmark.
I'd already been thinking about what I would do for the Serpentine Pavilion. I didn't want to create a space for events. I wanted to do something like this. And now I'm thinking that being allowed to do this was a very good opportunity. I wasn't paid for the job, but for that, I was able to build this house.
The first pavilion, in the year 2000, was designed by Zaha Hadid of Britain, based on a concept by Daniel Libeskind. 5 years ago, Rem Koolhaas of the Netherlands put up a vast balloon-like installation in Kensington Gardens. The design for 2007 was by Icelander Olafur Eliasson. The pavilions have evolved into an important venue for London art circles. In 2010, Jean Nouvel of France created a spectacular glass construction. It became one of the most well-attended architecture exhibits in the world. Peter Zumthor makes the 11th world-class star architect that the initiator of the Pavilion project has brought to London.
At the time that we started it, we did not think of it as a series, we thought of it as a one-off. And the concept was set right from the beginning. London, it becomes a destination, a landmark for London, so that it means that people come here, they make it theirs, they move the furniture around, they make it their home, they engage with it, they have picnics here, they do their morning exercises here. It really becomes part of the fabric.
All through the summer, the Pavilion will serve as a space for readings and podium discussions for an expected 300,000 visitors. The architect himself intended his garden within a garden as an oasis of peace for harried Londoners.
The ideal scene would be me sitting there talking to my friends normally, or alone reading a book, drinking coffee and relaxing. It's a little island and a little mystery in the midst of London.
Zumthor's Pavilion is to remain open until the 16th of October, after which it's to be sold and rebuilt, perhaps permanently at another location.
We finished today in France at the motor racing circuit in Le Mans. But it's not cars taking part in the famous 24-hour endurance trial. This time around, the famous track is hosting a major inline skating event. Hundreds of teams compete and they're all aiming to clock up as many laps as possible in the 24-hour time frame.
Thousands of inline skaters from all over Europe have gathered for an unusual race. The twist? It's 24 hours long. The race is held on the circuit normally used for the famous 24-hour Le Mans motorsports competition. Dirk May from Frankfurt is taking part for the 10th time. He says the atmosphere at the event is one of a kind.
This has really developed. 10 years ago, we were the only German team, but now you meet so many teams. You could say it's a melting pot of Europe, and you meet so many people you know. Of course, it's taxing, but everyone's happy.
Dirk also organises trips for inline skaters. This year, he's brought along 130 participants from Germany to Le Mans. For many, it's their first time here.
I've really got butterflies. You feel how nervous you are.
Definitely something to remember.
Finally, the big moment is at hand and the race gets underway. At the shot of the starting gun, the skaters have to sprint across the circuit, get into their skates and take off as quickly as they can. More than 6,000 people from 22 countries are taking part in this year's race.
Most participants come because they simply like the Le Mans circuit and because they enjoy the race format. 24 hours is a real challenge for the teams.
The teams are divided into groups that take over from one another as in a relay race. An electronic chip counts the laps and every skater hands over the chip to his successor. The team that logs the most laps in 24 hours wins.
The first lap is the worst, adrenaline galore, but that subsides and the laps get easier. Personally, I like to skate at night when it's dark and cool. The heat wears me out.
The first 8 hours of the race have been run. The skaters are not only physically tired, they're also getting sleepy. Those who take a break fall asleep immediately, then wake up to fight on.
Little bit sleepy maybe now, but we must be strong.
Almost 24 hours have passed and the skaters are still going strong. And then, suddenly, it's all over. There are a lot of winners. The race features 35 age and gender categories, each with its own trophy. Dirk May didn't take a prize, but still feels like a winner.
Definitely again. I can't wait till 2012.
24 hours of inline skating, and just about everyone wants to do it all over again.
Certainly looks like hard work on skates, that's for sure. And on that note, it's time for me to say goodbye from Berlin. On behalf of everyone here on the team, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Tschüss.